Hello, guys. Welcome back to Turning the Mirror podcast. This is where we bring you the reflection of politics and governance across our county, Kenya. And today we are looking into James Orengo, the current governor of Siaya County. Yeah. And we know his profile in politics. And now it's like he's fighting against another team. And we really don't know which team this is. What do you say about this? Especially the war itself.
Of course, what is out there, it is the public that Orengo and Raila are not in good terms. And it is seen in the public domain as if Orengo is fighting Raila, which in real sense is not true. It is only that he is having a different stand against what Raila perceives to be the best direction for the Luo nation. Yes.
Okay, and this is not just about Orengo himself. It is we have members of ODM and the current SG, that is Edwin Sifuna. We have Babu Wino, and also we have Anyang' Nyong'o, who are being summed together that they are against the will of the party.
Yes.
So, is it that these people are trying to collide together to form their own coalition to fight the stand of ODM and Raila in the government?
Not really. I'd look at it in two different ways. One, somebody like Anyang' Nyong'o and James Orengo are among the pioneers of ODM. They are among the founder members of ODM. Yeah. Again, Edwin Sifuna is a secretary general of the party. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, he's out there as the spokesperson of the party. And therefore only speaks the mind of the party. Yeah. Then somebody like Babu Wino, I would not really put him at the league of these three people. Because with him, we might say he's a bit younger and still young in the party, but he also has his own ways of viewing things. Yeah. Now, to Orengo, Anyang' Nyong'o, and Secretary General Sifuna, I'd say that whatever they are speaking, today I'd perceive that as the mind of Raila Odinga. Okay. And therefore, in as much as people might see this as a war against Raila, as a war against Ruto, as a war against what, I'd confidently say that whatever Orengo, Nyong'o, and Sifuna are speaking about, that is the mind of Raila Odinga. And remember, during the burial of Raila Odinga's aide, the late Oduor, Edwin Sifuna spoke, and he still had that very stand. And when Raila Odinga stood to speak, he never mentioned or even never talked about that. So that tells you something.
But the brother talked about it, and again you see that it all started with Sifuna. There was so much talks in the town, and especially when Baba was out of Addis Ababa, he returned to Kenya and now was siding with the government. And Sifuna was seen as this person who is deflecting a different direction from every other person in the party. And again, there were rumors that he's going to be impeached and all these things. And again, that fled out, and Sifuna again is within the party, and they're just doing their things as usual. And again, it comes to Orengo. What makes the fight of Orengo unique?
You know, that is a very interesting question. Yeah. First of all, where did this begin? You've told us about Sifuna, and now Sifuna being ripped off his position as the Secretary General. That was then. But even before that, we had talks in town, in Siaya, back in my county, that ODM was planning to bring Dr. Orengo-Odinga, the current senator, as the governor in 2027. And you know, to me, I always say that in politics, nothing is rumors. As long as something is out in the public domain, once big people in the political space mention it, then it is no longer rumors. It is either that is the truth, or it is being brought with those very people to test waters. Okay. So there were talks in town that Orengo-Odinga was being brought will be brought in 2027 as the ODM's candidate for the gubernatorial position.
Can that be possible?
County. Very possible. ODM can do anything. And when that happened, we saw just immediately, even before now, this broad-based government, we saw now Orengo had already started facing some force against him within the county. Okay. And then it came that Ruto and Raila signed an MOU, but Orengo was still against that MOU. The same way Anyang' Nyong'o is against it. The same way Sifuna is against it. The same way Babu Win is against it.
Anyang Nyong'o is different. He was part of the signing. He was there and he did support it.
Of course, he did support it. But before that time,
Sure,
Anyang Nyong'o was seriously speaking against this.
Yeah,
but then
true.
we never had anyone mention anything about Anyang Nyong'o being impeached.
Yeah.
But now with Orengo, what is making it unique? Remember, a group calling themselves professionals, the Ramogi professional something,
Yeah.
actually came out and addressed the press, addressing the nation, saying that James Orengo is supposed to be impeached, or even warning him of the consequences for going against Raila. I want to tell you that it is either true that the Odinga family and ODM as a party are planning to bring Dr. Oburu Odinga as the governor in 2027, and therefore are trying to find all the possible ways to ensure that Orengo is seen as an enemy by the people, so that when it comes to 2027, not many people will vote for him as the governor of Siaya County. Because even if ODM decides to bring Oburu Odinga, Orengo might as well decide to come with another party, because this is just his first term. Again, we've known Orengo as someone who is very firm, and even in the 90s, he was not in the same page with Raila Odinga anyway.
Of course, yeah.
So today, we cannot say that these things are unique. It's just maybe we can say that things are just recurring.
Before that, Anyang Nyong'o is just finishing his second term in the gubernatorial position of Kisumu County. And again, maybe if he decides to run for another elective position, which could only be the president of Kenya, that we don't really see the interests that he could be having towards that. Know that so there cannot be a lot of political coalition in terms of interests. And let us now speak about Siaya politics come 2026, 2027. There are so many other candidates aside Oburu Odinga. We have Opiyo Wandayi, who could also be heading to this position. He is now the CS, and now we expect that when he returns to elective politics, he cannot return to the MP position. He could maybe be a senate or a governor of a county or other position like the president. So does Opiyo Wandayi have any hand in this? Because I've seen a lot of bloggers who I assume to be his bloggers to using all these rumors and all these tensions to try to speak against Orengo and bring Wandayi into the picture.
You are saying the truth. You see, I've just said that it is either true that Raila Odinga and the family of the Odinga family and ODM as a party are planning to front Oburu Odinga as the governor, and therefore they are trying, or they were trying, to position Orengo as the enemy of progress in Luo Nyanza or in Siaya. So when all this came out and now Orengo is speaking against what he terms as, you see, it is true what Orengo is saying, that development is a right. It is not a favor. Because at the end of the day, every Kenyan from every corner pay tax. And therefore development from the national government to them is not a favor, but is a right. And when then ODM or members of parliament can term that as being reckless, then I don't really understand what the term being reckless is. Maybe it lost meaning. But then, straight to your question. Remember, James Orengo in 2022 ran against a guy by the name Nicholas Gombo, Engineer Nicholas Gombo, a man who is the former MP for Arieda and has also had some appointments in the Ruto's government. And as a matter of fact, when Orengo started having this chaos, or the tension started growing around Orengo's circle, then automatically some of the competitors had to also use that opportunity to fight him. And therefore somebody like Nicholas Gombo is among the people I can say today that can ride on the differences that are being seen between Raila Odinga and James Orengo today. Because he might also be trying to position himself as a better option in 2027. You are right that Opiyo Wandayi is today the CS. He was appointed the CS when he was the Member of Parliament for Ugunja and actually the majority leader in the National Assembly of Kenya. And as a CS, when he returns, because today whatever he's earning is way above the salary of an MP, above even what he was getting as the majority leader. And therefore when he comes back, it's not logical for him to run again as the member of parliament for Gunja, because that would mean even the salary would drop. Automatically, even if he wins and makes it to the August House, his salary would drop. And those are among the things that these politicians look at, because remember, whatever unites these members of assembly at all cost, whether in government or in opposition, is either the CDF or the salary increment that touches on their pocket. And therefore, automatically, Wandai would come back and want to run for governor. In 2022, we had talks again across Siaya that Wandai was going to run for governor, of which, if he went for it, I think he would really be a serious force then in 2022. He would really challenge whoever he was going to run against. But the party decided that Orengo was going to be given a direct ticket, and so Wandai was to run for MP, where actually he did that. And so today, Wandai would also want to seize that opportunity with the differences that are mounting. You know, as a CS, if you look at Wandai, Mbadi, the experts, in quotes, that ODM gave to the government, our Luo members are seriously praising this government. And therefore, Wandai would really want to seize that opportunity so that when he comes to speak, he will not only mention or talk about the government, but can also talk about the difference in ODM, most so Orengo. Number 3, we can also talk about Oburu himself. Oburu himself can also seize that chance to also position himself better, if at all it is true that he is going to run for this position. We also have this man called Oduol-Denge. Oduol-Denge was a serious candidate in 2013. And then in 2022, he was a running mate to James Orengo. But then just first year into office, they had differences. Oduol-Denge was impeached from the Siaya County Assembly and taken to Senate, where he survived the impeachment. And therefore, Oduol-Denge is today perceived or seen as a close ally to the president, William Ruto. And therefore, William Ruto can be using Oduol-Denge to also try and cause a bit of some differences within the Siaya politics. And then finally, the man I'm looking at today is William Ruto himself. Because remember, William Ruto really needs ODM today. It is his basic need. Because without ODM and Raila in his side, then that means Ruto is like a naked man. So he needs this party with him. And so anybody who seems to be a challenge to this need, then he might use all the powers and every possibility to make sure that that person doesn't have peace. And therefore, he would do anything possible to make sure that Raila to make sure that Orengo concentrates on the Siaya politics and leaves the national scene. So, because remember, James Orengo is one of the people that Raila Odinga listened to very much. And so if he's against this pact, then automatically there's a way Raila would view this, and he would maybe have a second thought. And if you look at the press release that the ODM gave yesterday, you realize that no name was mentioned. It only talked about the differences in the party and talked about how the party leader is looking at it and is also concerned and is following through. And the main message out is that at the end of the day, the party organs will advise, and actually they'll make sure that the end goal is that party will come out a united party. And therefore, that tells you something, that even Raila himself is reading a lot from this. Finally, I'd tell you that to me, when I see people or bloggers of these politicians post that James Orengo is doing nothing in Siaya, at times I just laugh. Because initially, we had James Orengo serve as the member of parliament of the Great Ugenya, before Ugenya was divided into two, Ugenya and Ugunja. We had Ondiek, Bishop Ondiek, and now Orengo, who served as the MPs. Automatically, the roles of member of parliament is legislation, oversight, and representation, which they did so well. Actually, Orengo is among the most vocal legislators in the Kenyan land. And therefore, he did that role very well. Development, which is the role of national government and then later devolution, is among the roles given to, today it is national government and the county governments. But now, people were saying that Orengo did not do anything in terms of development, which is true anyway, because Orengo did not do much in matters development, which in real sense Of course, it is a need to the people that you need to do some development. But then to him, maybe he was just playing his roles perfectly.
Yeah.
So these people, actually people voted for James Orengo, knowing who he is. The same way people voted for William Ruto, knowing who he is. So at the end of the day, you cannot come back and start saying that this person is not doing any development, when in real sense you are voting for him, knowing so well that this man is good in parliament more than he's good in administration.
Because he had held a public office.
Of course, and they knew exactly what he could do and the much he could do in terms of performance.
Yeah.
Remember, in the coalition government, James Orengo was Minister for Lands, and that was an administrative post. So people could have looked at his profile during that position and known, if we get him out of the legislation arm of government and take him to the executive, how much could he perform? And therefore, it is not new. Even if people are complaining, it is not something worth complaining about. I think in his capacity and how much we know him over the years, he is doing well.
There is a disturbing question here that who really is controlling ODM right now? Is it some people, Raila Odinga plus other team, or somebody else? It could also be the government of Kenya, led by William Samoei Ruto. Who controls ODM? Because people are speaking different languages. And again, considering what MPs that are under ODM like Atandi said in Parliament against Orengo, you could just know that this was a directive given from the party and the leadership of the party. Who really controls this?
Somebody like Atandi is just a backing dog, a toothless backing dog. Because in ODM, today I can just say that Samuel Atandi is just trying to protect his image with Ruto. Because remember, today he's serving as the chair of the budget, the committee dealing with finance. And therefore, he would really want to be seen as a man who is supporting the government. But to your question, I'd tell you that...
I remember he was so firm, and the words he was speaking, they were so clear and direct.
Very firm, and the speaker did not even interject. Because after all, he was speaking for the government. And so he was speaking the same language, the likes of Opio Wandai and John Mbadi are speaking for the government. But at the end of the day, whatever he's speaking...
against a party
pioneer. So, but then look at the deputy party leader, Godfrey Osotsi, the senator for Vihiga, I think. Is it Vihiga? Yes, Vihiga. Godfrey Osotsi, when he was asked by the press, his stand about whatever is going on, the division and all that, he did not speak against Orengo, but only said that our party leader is Raila Odinga, and therefore we follow what the party leader says. But in the party, we have democracy. And therefore, Orengo is just right within his capacity as an individual for whatever he's speaking about. He didn't speak against Orengo. Remember, what Orengo talked about, the only person who went against it was Oburu and Ruto. Not Raila during the speech. During the burial of Raila's Eid. And therefore, I tell you that ODM is being controlled. It's a family thing, of course, and therefore you expect Oburu Odinga to have a strong control of the party.
Then let's look into the stand of the family, and the most vocal men in that family are Raila and Oburu. So you see that Oburu clearly was in support of the broad-based government, as he did speak, and it was looking sincere, according to what he said, and the age, and considering just factors necessary. And again, we have Raila Odinga. You know, the structure of ODM, we have the party leader, the chair, the secretary general, these top positions, and one like Sifuna, which is one of the top positions, is speaking of what we know Raila is standing for. So there is something we really don't understand. Make it clear.
Of course, in politics, politics is a game.
Is Raila playing a game?
Yes,
game?
Politics is a game. And at the end of the day, Raila would not want to actually, how can I put it? At the end of the day, because in 2027, Raila would automatically go with the waves. And so if the waves will be against Ruto, I don't see a Raila-Ruto pact. And if the waves are for Ruto, then I see Raila-Ruto pact. And so at the end of the day, Raila would not really want to annoy the public. And so today, I don't think if Raila would publicly speak against what the public is feeling is right. So at the end of the day, Orengo, Sifuna, and the likes of Babu are speaking the mind of Raila. Oburu is also speaking, and with Oburu speaking, then Ruto would assume that that is the stand of the family, and therefore the stand of Raila. Yeah? And therefore Raila is somewhere in the middle. But at the end of the day, there are other party organs, like the neck, that also has very serious voice in this. And so at the end of the day, Raila might come out and tell you now, after considerations and consultations with the party organs, this is our stand as a party. Yes? So to me, when I look at Raila, I'm seeing somebody who is playing games. He's not 100% with the Ruto, and he's not 100% with the public. He's 50-50, playing so well so that at the end of the day, he will gain from whatever is going on.
Okay, interesting. And my last question is, what then is the plan of Raila with this double game? What is he planning? It's a little fishy, because will we be running for presidency?
He has played it. He has played that game for the longest. Yeah? In 2017, he signed an agreement with Uhuru. 2018, I mean. 2022, of course, Uhuru brought him as his candidate in the 2022 elections. After the elections, he actually dumped the Uhuru camp and joined the Ruto camp, a camp he was seriously fighting against. 2013, he signed an MOU with Ford Kenya of Moses Wetangula and Wiper of Kalonzo Musyoka. After the elections, of course, they were together, but later formed NASA.
What do we expect now in this case?
Yeah? So after forming NASA in 2017, after the elections, he went to Uhuru himself and left his other brothers out. The parties that made up NASA. And therefore, I still expect the same thing. In 2027, he might still again run away from Ruto and form another alliance and again run for presidency against that William Ruto. It is also possible.
So how does it relate to the double stand that we are seeing right now in ODM?
He is only playing safe so that ODM is not completely seen as a party which is against the people.
Okay.
And is also not seen by the government as a party which is against the government. So that at the end of the day, the direction he will choose, he will have a voice and actually a message to convince that specific direction that after consulting the party organs, this is our stand. But then finally, I'd leave you with one thing. These people are talking about impeaching Orengo. My brother, impeaching Orengo in Siaya County today is not an easy task. Because remember, the MCAs, in as much as we've always seen these county assemblies used by the government and even other politicians to drive a narrative, in Siaya County, impeaching Orengo would actually bring about some issues, a lot of it. And we've even seen East Assembly Ward MCA, Gordon Onguru, a man who actually went to the assembly without the ODM ticket. He went to the assembly with the UDM ticket, but then later shifted camps. We've seen Gordon Onguru actually support what James Orengo is saying. I think there's another guy called, another MCA, which said that at the end of the day, we are supposed to look at the promises that Ruto promised the people of Siaya. And he went ahead to mention some of the projects, like the Goye Bridge, we had Bondo, Nango, Liunda Road, and the Siriwo Rice Miller Plant, among others, that Ruto promised after the pact with Raila Odinga, but never delivered. So how are you going to convince the people that we are impeaching James Orengo because he's against the government? Not because he has maybe committed the crimes that are stipulated in the constitution, but we are impeaching him because he's against the government. The government that is lying to you. They've come, launched some projects, those projects are stalled, or they stopped working on them, or you are not seeing the progress. How are you going to convince the people?
You make me ask again another question, that this seems to be a lot of mileage to Orengo. And how can this really help him in the future space of politics, especially the national politics? You know, because we also know he's a little younger compared to Raila.
Yeah, of course, he's about 6 years younger than Raila. Orengo is one person who is respected across the country. And therefore, remember, he's among the people who fought for the second liberation. the multi-party system and all that.
Yeah.
And he's one of the celebrated senior counsels in the law career and all that. And I'd say that even in the political space, Orengo is a celebrated man. Because if you look at the country out of Siaya now, Orengo is very respected. And other people even tend to wonder, how comes these people of Siaya are not seeing this gem? But of course, people have different ways of viewing people. But to your question, I'd tell you that whatever is happening now is building Orengo thoroughly. At the end of the day, Orengo would emerge as a winner. And I can tell you as a fact that the next coalition that is being formed, that is pro-people, Orengo would have a voice in it. If at all, the ODM and its members manage to push him out of ODM, then Orengo would be a big force in the next coalition that will be formed, which is pro-people.
Yeah.
Lastly, Orengo himself, this is also building him, because at the end of the day, he's getting sympathizers, and other people are now getting the opportunity to see the real colors of ODM as a party, and even the party leader. And therefore, if they manage to push him out, then I can promise you that in 2027, Orengo is going to win easily compared to when he's going to run within the ODM party. Yes.
Oh, sure. Interesting conversation here. Let us also hear from our audience. What do they really have to say? What do they think about this war, ODM party, and also national politics in general? And also, if you have a topic you want us to discuss and talk about, do tell us. Thank you and welcome again next time.